Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you here on this Monday. I hope you're having a good day and a happy New Year to everybody as we start the new year. Happy New Year to you, Don Fischer, the voice of the Hoosiers, joins us.
Well, thanks, John. All right, Jim. I'm sorry, John. I'm sorry about that, but I'm in Philadelphia. I'm literally sitting here waiting for my flight. Hopefully, it doesn't get canceled like so many have this year to get back to Indianapolis so that I can get home. But without question, yesterday was a very disappointing day for Indiana basketball.
Yeah, quite a surprise, really, and especially with the manner in which they played. It just seemed a little lifeless, and the defense that has been their hallmark kind of went away from them, and just there were just several things that were a little surprising.
Well, no question. And the biggest problem, I talked to a couple of guys leading up to the ball game that told me that our practice sessions the last 2 days leading up to this matchup with Penn State were the two best practices they've had in a long, long time. So I was shocked when I saw how Indiana played in this matchup. And you're right, the three-point shooting that Penn State put on Indiana in this game, 11 of 22, 50%, was astounding when you consider that Indiana had shot 28 or had held teams to shooting 28% in most games this year. They have been terrific at guarding the three-point line. In this matchup, not so much by any stretch of the imagination. And then on top of that, they couldn't make threes. They shot 17 of them in this ball game, 3 in the last, 5 or 6 seconds of the game trying to get a three-pointer to fall. But they only hit 4 in the entire contest. And honestly, this team did not play well defensively. They obviously didn't move the ball, I don't think, like they should have offensively. It just kind of looked like what we've seen a lot from this ball club last year. And that's not a good sign for this team.
No, and you've seen a lot of people kind of make that complaint, but as we know, it is not the same team. There's some different faces, and that's part of the issue. I think they still. I know they're a very well bonded team, but I sent that tweet out yesterday. They just don't seem like a team on the floor for 40 minutes, especially, or at least not yet. They do one game, they do something great. They only had 6 turnovers yesterday, which is great, and they forced Penn State to turn the ball over 13 times, but yet it doesn't do them any good.
No, and it didn't because, number one, they couldn't rebound the basketball. They gave up. They were beaten on the boards 39 to 29, another area that Indiana's been dominant in this year. They're averaging like 10 rebounds more a game than their opponents. And in this ball game, they got rebounded by 10. So I don't know what happened in this contest. And I'm not sure Mike Woodson has the answers. Maybe we'll hear what they are tonight on Inside IU Basketball with the coach because we'll have him on the air tonight at the Southern Soul Restaurant. But honestly, this was a very puzzling and a questioning ball game about this basketball team. And we haven't really seen them play like this, I don't think, much this year. We've had spurts, obviously the second half against against Wisconsin, I should say, was kind of like that. They have not, but they just haven't played 40 minutes of good basketball at any one time this season, with the exception of against a couple of lesser teams, which you can't really get a feel for as to how they played for a full 40 minutes. I just think that's the most troubling thing about this basketball team right now is their ability to put 40 minutes of great effort on the floor at the same time.
Yeah, and one of the things I was wondering about is how would they respond to the extended break they had with the one COVID cancel. But Penn State hadn't played in 22 days, I heard yesterday, and I'm like, wow. So they didn't have any rust problems whatsoever. Obviously, Penn State responded a lot better to the break than Indiana.
Yeah, and Indiana had a 10-day break, and like I said, in talking to the people the last couple of days leading up to the ball game, they said those were the 2 best practices they maybe had this year. So I don't know what happened, and honestly, it's very puzzling, as we stated. But this team is better than that, and that's the good news because we know that they are better than that. But they're still not getting enough shots, I don't think, for their shooters. Parker Stewart being the primary guy, he only took 4 shots in this game, only 2 from behind the arc. He didn't hit either one of them, but he struggled to shoot the ball in this contest. That's always going to be an issue when he's not shooting it well because people have to guard him. And in this game, Penn State did. So you've got to give Penn State a lot of credit. And John Harrah, he's been a big issue for Indiana every time they faced him, especially against when Hera plays against Penn State, Trace Jackson Davis is not at his best. And even though Trace had a 20-point game, Mike Woodson was furious about his rebounding in this contest. He was not pleased at all in that regard, and said he was going to talk to the kid after the ball game, or after they got on the bus, or maybe at home, or maybe at practice tomorrow. But whatever the case may be, it was not a good performance by this Indiana basketball team. And Jim, we can't afford that right now. This team now is going to play Ohio State and Minnesota. Minnesota may be the surprise team of the country this year with all the transfers that they brought in to take up roster space. And Ben Johnson in his first year as the head coach, and what a job he's done. They've only lost one ball game, and Ohio State's the other team that's red hot right now and leading the Big Ten. And they are, of course, ranked in the top 10 of the country. So this is going to be a very challenging week for Indiana basketball, even though both these games are at home.
Yeah, Ohio State went into overtime, I think, with Nebraska over the weekend, but they pulled the win out. Most importantly, we saw potentially some upsets this weekend. Michigan State almost went down, but they pulled the win out. Most importantly, the thing that Indiana was not able to do. And that's something that I've been wondering. I know these guys are, I'm not questioning their toughness, but as a team, I'm not sure I'm just seeing the grit and the toughness they need. They have not really finished games out or put teams away, and that's something that either they haven't learned yet, or I'm not sure, but I'm not seeing that.
Well, we've heard Coach Woodson talk about the fact that I got to teach these guys how to win. Well, it's a pretty good time to learn real quick, because winning now is going to be critical in the Big Ten. There's no doubt about that. This was a very winnable game that they lost to Penn State. A team that was just 5-5 coming into it, and like you pointed out, they had not played for 3 weeks because of COVID issues. Two weeks in the COVID issues with their program, and then a week against Delaware State where they canceled the ball game on them. So honestly, this was a game that Indiana had right there for the taking and didn't get it done, and that's concerning to say the least.
Yeah, I sent a tweet out that Indiana's not at exactly a crossroads of the season yet, but they're close, because that can get away when you lose to a team like Penn State. It's not getting easier, and the battles will become tougher. This season could slip away from them quickly if they don't get a grasp.
Yeah, there's no question about that. This is I don't think that the team, I think you're right about the team being very cohesive, and these kids like each other and like playing with one another, but they need to learn how to win right now and how to get over the hump. They've got to be smart and making plays at the end of ball games, and we haven't seen that thus far. It's going to have to take place if this team is to have a successful season.
Note of positive news, the Indiana women's team, a big win as they knocked off number 6 Maryland, their first win over the Maryland program, number 8 Indiana, 70-63 in overtime yesterday. So Terry Moore and crew, they get a big win for them.
Oh, it's huge. This is the first time that Indiana's beaten Maryland since Maryland joined the Big Ten Conference, and Maryland has been in the top 1 or 2 every single year since they joined the conference in women's basketball. So this is a team to beat. If you beat them, it is significant, to say the least. And, of course, from Indiana's perspective, it's the first time since they joined the league. So it was a huge win for the program.
Absolutely. Well, Don, you're traveling, I'm traveling, so I'm going to let you go. But we'll see you tonight at Southern Stone Restaurant at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington at 7:05 for Inside Indiana Basketball with Don Fischer and Mike Woodson.
Thanks, Ben. I appreciate it, Jim. Thanks very much.
You bet. Have a great day, Don. Thank you.